Good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody. My name is Sarah. We have a different type of video for you guys today. Yes, normally I am a person who reviews books. I talk about books. That's great. Okay. This kind of is a book. It is paper. It is bound paper with words in it, but I am making it. So today we are doing a bullet journal. I bought this journal. It's a Markiplier journal, so go on to markiplier.com if you want it. But I bought this journal thinking, oh, I'll make this into one of my crafting journals. It is a bit short for that. I did not look at the measurements, so now we are going to turn it into a bullet journal. And I am so psyched because I need a bit of organization in my life because let's be real, my life it's kind of been on fire the past few weeks. Just need a breather, so let's get ready for March, I guess.
So here we have this beautiful Markiplier journal. I love it. And so this month is Disney themed. Now I'm using erasable markers because they are the only thing that does not bleed through the paper. So this is both Disney and Disneyland themed. So I really wanted the opening to be the castle with Tinkerbell's little boop on top. I don't really like the color of this marker too much, so you're going to see I switch it up a few times, but I really wanted the opening to be green because it is March. So I'm switching now to just a green highlighter. This one only bleeds through the page a tiny bit, so if I'm careful, which I'm not always, it's fine. So the thing about this is you're going to realize, first of all, I don't always do the best with my art, but I'm not bad at it. The thing is, though, I am not good with my writing, so this cover page is really the only time you're going to see any good lettering from me. Now, I don't really color things in too often, so I kind of just go over the outlines with the color that I want them to be. I'm not the best at keeping the lines straight, so it kind of has more of a sketchy look to it. Now, I don't have any skin tone colors, so I'm just using this gold pen, and then it's just kind of doing an outline. I'm going to go in and fill that a bit later. Now, this page is a calendar. It's a Winnie the Pooh themed, and this month it is my goal to go to Disneyland and get on the Winnie the Pooh ride, because I've been there so many times, and I only have memories of getting on that ride once, and that is it. Now again, I'm just going over the lines. I don't really color things in. I have a black felt tip pen and my erasable markers, and I'm just going through outlining everything because I'm going to try to erase this later. The thing is, I used erasable markers, and I did not think through erasing my lines first, so I have to touch a few things up. You see over here, that's my coloring strategy. I just kind of scriggle in some lines that I think would look good. I don't color things in all the way because that's effort and that's a lot of ink wasted. Now, my calendar lines aren't the straightest, but nothing ever is, so we're just going to ignore that. I do go in and touch everything up later, like I said, but for now I just kind of want to get the bare bones of it done because, you know, this calendar page was kind of a lot of work. Again, for the sides, not actually coloring things in all the way, just kind of scriggling in some what I think would be a good idea, and then I'll just touch that up later, or maybe I won't, we never know. Now for the quote, I did, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." So I always mess up this quote when I'm saying it. I mess up a few of the words or whatever, so I don't know if actually that's how I wrote it down is correct or not, but we're going to say it is and move on. Now the next part is my mood board. This month, I just know it's going to be a bit of a mess for me because it's spring break, but I also have midterms, but it's also spring break, and I have family coming in, and it's it's gonna be a wild month, so I figured this would be a good thing for me. It is Mulan themed. I decided to go for that sakura tree that you see at the beginning. I think sakura is Japanese. I don't know what the Chinese word for it. It's a cherry tree. It's really pretty. I kind of did more of an abstract thing with it. I just filled in some squiggly lines where they looked like they were in the movie scene, and then I just kind of vaguely colored them. Now for each petal, I kind of drew them more like a raindrop than anything else. I did a few actual flowers following along, but you kind of see I got a bit lazy and cut a few footages here and there. It's not the best detailing, but I like it. I also filled in some empty space around them. You're going to see that a bit later. Right now it's just pencil lines. But it looked a bit boring with just the mood tracker, so I have a few extra things. And now for the quote is, no matter how hard the wind howls, the mountain cannot bow to it. If you know the modern translation, you know why I picked that for the mood tracker. Now here I'm just filling in the excess. I'm adding a bit of detail to the page. I forgot to add the coloring system at first, so I had to add that later. I messed up a few times. I went over, I tried to fix it. It's a bit of a mess, but you know, I think I got it. And so yeah, we do now more of that squiggly stuff that's not actually coloring, but I'm going to say it is, and then we move on. So here we have my habit tracker. This one's Aladdin themed. No, I'm not going to go see the new remake, because guess what? I can tell that's going to suck, and nothing will ever be good as the original. So I decided to split them up into 4 separate habits I wanted to track this month: reading, drinking water, doing homework, and working out. I was doing this thing, it was one of my resolutions where I was working out every single day, and then February came along and I stopped. And so I'm getting better at it, don't worry, but it's a thing that I'm struggling with. And again, homework, I really need to focus on studying. I'm counting that as homework. And so I really need to work on that and remind myself, hey, this is a thing I also have to do. So, you know, including that in here. Just some detailing. I really wanted to try to recreate the genie smoke when he comes out of the bottle. I don't think I did the best job, but you know. And here we have more of that gold pen I really like to use. You're going to see it a lot this month. I don't know why. It just felt like a gold month to me. Moving on to my brain dump page. I was really hesitant to include this, but I feel like it's going to be necessary for upcoming projects. So this one is Frozen themed, and the quote at the bottom is, "Are you really going to let fear control your life?" Because I feel like that's a quote you really should stand for. I'm just adding some snowflake themes on the bottom, and it's kind of just going to border the page so I can just add my random thoughts to it. So the first weekly spread is Space Mountain. Space Mountain is amazing. I'm sorry, it is. I tried to get my mom to go on it once, and she hated it, so it's just a me thing. Now this is only Friday and Saturday. It just existed. I didn't really have anything going on Saturday, so I didn't mind adding a doodle right under the day. I really wanted the Space Mountain drawing to be more sketchy feel, so I didn't end up erasing the pencil lines underneath the sketch, because it felt right, because you can never actually have a drawing of Space Mountain without it looking weird. I originally was going to add a calendar underneath of it, but I kind of came to this conclusion where I wanted it to be the week before and the week after, so I just left it. Now this next week is Pirates of the Caribbean themed. Yes, I did the ride, not the movie. I'm sorry. I think this one is cool and I wanted it to be my spread. So I did the entrance sign as the big border on the top because it's awesome. Later on, I went back and added some ivy around the bars on the top, but you don't see it in this video, so I apologize. So we just added a little days, and now the quote is, "The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem," which I know is a movie quote, but I mean, come on, it's a good quote, so I wanted to include it. Now keep in mind, I'm doing all of this upside down, so I know my handwriting is not the best, but hey, it's upside down. So I did some sort of like half circles and some loopy circles that are supposed to be like the gold coins. I gotta make sure the days are right because I can't really write days upside down. And so I just kind of like was checking to make sure all the numbers were correct and then highlighted which week it was. Now I'm sorry I cut the footage here a little bit, but I wrote down what day it was and then I circled the day with the gold coins. That was really what the theme was like gold and the ocean because, pirates. Now, the little corner for my doodle this week was the Pirates of the Caribbean ship, or a ship. I don't really know the difference between them. I just doodled it in the corner and then made it look like it was going over the setting sun, because we know that whole, the sunsets and that riddle. Yeah, that one. And there is the island over there that Captain Jack Sparrow was trapped on. Some more squiggles, and we move on. Now this next theme is Hercules. I have some problems with that movie, but the aesthetic is pretty amazing. So up on the top we have the gates of Mount Olympus, and then we just doodle in some clouds. I really suck at drawing clouds, but whatever. Now again, more gold. I don't know why every single spread had to be gold, but it's like, that's March's theme, is gold and blue, okay? So down below we have Hades' flames. I'm not always the best at drawing fire, but I think I really got it down this week. So now the quote this week is, "I am on my way, I can go the distance," because that is such an amazing song, and yeah, I like it. Now I used 2 different colors for this one. I wanted it to be red and gold because I felt like I was using too much gold, but red wasn't quite the right color, so I just used both. Now for my doodle, it was the vase/vase. I kind of used the lettering from 0 to hero and just kind of put that on because he was like, his name is on every vase, or vase, or however you're supposed to say it. Now I do this thing where I keep flipping the pages. Usually that is to make sure that the ink isn't bleeding through. Again, the paper in this journal is pretty thin, so I had to be careful. Now just a quick little calendar drawing where I draw the week before and the week after, because that's a lot of numbers to keep rewriting, so I limited myself. I might add them later, but not yet. Now I had to write the days of the week underneath of it. Every now and then I have to switch it up because of the way the top little drawing is made. It's just a thing. Just accept it. Added some blue highlights for the flames, and then I moved on. Now this theme is Temple of the Forbidden Eye, or better known as Indiana Jones. This is such a fun ride to go on, but the lines always get so ridiculous. But I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to the ride or not when I actually get to the park. Now I kind of want to do this thing where it's like logs and like falling over planks and ropes, but I didn't have enough colors to do that, so it's abstract. Now I switched up gold for orange for this because I felt like it kind of fit better with the theme. Even though Temple of the Forbidden Eye, one of the routes you can go on, you get a lot of money. But of course, somebody always has to screw it up and look at the eyes. Now the quote I picked is unlike anything you have experienced, I assure you. You hear this quote when you're going through the little safety spiel at the beginning in the waiting line. Trust me, I've been in that line long enough to memorize that thing. Now the little doodle on the side, I wanted to do the snakes that you see when you're entering the snakes room or whatever. Or like it along like the Hall of Doom. I don't actually know the real name of it, but you know. They're like the giant statues you see on the wall. And for the doodle underneath, I want to do that bridge that like the cars like go across and then you stop. Because if you ever It's not often, but if they ever have like the perfect timing, you see there's supposed to be like a car in front of you that's about to hit you and you have to stop, and when you like first enter the room, you see the car that's on the bridge. It's really cool. It doesn't always line up perfectly, but when it does, it's really amazing. Now, here's where I screwed up. I screwed up big time, and I decided to improvise. So you're just going to see how that turns out a bit later. I eventually turned those little blocks into like cars, but for now they're just like black blocks, so accept it. But yeah, if you didn't catch, I wrote Monday instead of Sunday, which my fault entirely, but we're going to roll with it. So yeah, later on I add little doors and spotlights to those things so you can actually tell they're cars. Right now they're just abstract blocks, but just go with it. So yeah, this is my epic page. I added some gold coins, I added some blue stars, and then I added like green wisps, which are supposed to be like eternal youth. Those are the 3 paths that you can go on before things get screwed up, because Indiana Jones, the ride, really is supposed to have multiple different pathways. The mechanics that used to switch halls kind of broke, but you still hear the difference when you go through because there's different monologues you hear before things go south. Flipping to the last week, it is Snow White. Now, I don't think I've ever been on the scary Snow White ride that's at Disneyland, but I feel like I got to now. So the quote I picked is, "Remember, you're the one who can fill the world with sunshine." I don't actually remember when this quote is said in the movie, but I think it's just such a good quote. Now, instead of really doing just like 3 different doodles, I filled the page with little gemstones. I know gemstones don't come out of the ground cut like this, but in the movie they are, so just ignore that fact. All these colors I use, with the exception of the black, are my erasable markers, and so I kind of have to leave the pencil lines underneath because I didn't get rid of them beforehand, and now if I try to erase, it would, screw up the colors. So yeah, the scene on the bottom is that mining scene that we first really get introduced to the dwarves in. It's the whole hi-ho, hi-ho, off to work we go, and it's so you see all the mine carts, and it's like immediately after this you see Dobby with the gems in his eyes, so that's what that scene is. And yeah, I decided to do more of a pink than anything else because I felt like I was really lacking in that color when I was using it for these different spreads. And then on the side, I did Snow White's well that she was singing into at the time where she first meets the prince. I gotta say, I really like how this well turned out. I almost didn't want to erase the pencil lines because I felt like it looked more like a sketchy look, and I really liked that. So you're gonna see when I color it, I don't even go through and do much to it. I just kind of fill in the empty space. Once again, I don't actually fill in the lines or anything. I just kind of put splotches there and call it good. Now up on the top, where I put everything else, is the whole Snow White's casket, where she lays sleeping or / dead, depending on what story you're hearing. And I just filled underneath with little flowers. I tried to make sure they didn't look like the diamonds or anything, but you know how they look. And then finally, I finish off with the calendar, making sure everything is filled out. I actually did include the 31st in this week simply because I had the space and didn't want to include an entire spread just dedicated to that one day. You see here I tried to erase, but it kind of wasn't working, so just accept that fact and move on. I did go back and erase a lot of the lines later. You're going to see that in the final flip through, But yeah, overall, I just kind of left the pencil as is. I'm going to not do that in the future. Just a lesson to be learned now. And so yeah, I finished the days and I wrapped them all up in little gems, and it's now time for the final flip through. So we have this cover page, then we're moving on to this lovely calendar, mood board and habit tracker, brain dump, and then my weekly spreads. Yeah, I really like how this all turned out.
Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more Plan With Me bullet journal things, leave that down in the comment section down below. Add some things that you want to see. Like this was a fun one and all, but I want to spice it up, okay? And while you're there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And as always, good night, good evening, and good morning, everybody.